Yo, Chubbs here, NUGGETRY.com. Just got done editing the video you're about to watch. And again, this is the second time I've made this video. I tried to tell this story years ago when I edited it. Excuse me. It was I just didn't like the vibe of the video, so I didn't post it. Almost did the same thing today when I was editing it. You can tell I just get real distracted thinking back about this shit. It was a crazy time. And then also the dude that's outside that I mentioned distracting me. So some dude pulls up in the middle of the video, pulls up in a white SUV, tinted windows all blacked out, gets out of his car, pops the back, opens the truck, takes out a camera, comes over to my car in the driveway, lifts up my car, the car cover off of my car and starts taking pictures of my car. And he says that he has a friend who's looking. He wanted to see what's underneath. He had a feeling he knew what was underneath. Because there's a little tear. I have to put a new car cover on. There's a little tear. So he said he's been driving by. He saw it. I wanted to see what's underneath. Took some pictures because he's got a friend who's looking for the same car, and he wanted to know if I was open to offers. But it's just really random the way this shit happened. So I apologize for the distraction. And then you'll also see towards the end of the video, just talking about some of the shit that I talk about in this video had me a little emo. So I apologize for that. I'm gonna post a video anyways. So check it out. Let me know what you guys think. Peace. What's up, everybody? Chubbs here, NUGGETRY.com. Hope everybody is doing well. It's been about a week since I made a video, maybe a little bit longer, maybe about a week. Last video I made, if you guys didn't see it, I had surgery recently, and I tried to bounce back real quick and make a video right after, like a day or two after. Very low energy, and it just wasn't, it was a little bit too soon. So that's where I've been for the last probably week or so, is just healing up, feeling much better, got my energy back, and it's time to start making videos again. So I am going to answer a couple of the requests, more popular requests that you guys send over. First of which is smoke a joint, and second of which is let's hear a good story. I know you guys are fond of the stories, the crazier stories that I have. You guys always want to hear me retell the story about Lurch and the crazy shit that went down in Newport back in the day, and I will retell that story sometime. But today I've got one that's it might even be a little bit not as it's almost as close to the Lurch story in terms of craziness. I actually recorded this video years and years ago. I told this story in a video, and while I was editing it, while I was editing it. It just sounded too fucked up. I didn't like the way, it was just kind of a harsh story, but that was years ago. Where it's 2020 now, we're all adults. I think it's time for this story to be told. But I will say this. I will preface the story that I'm about to tell by saying that some and or all of the following story may or may not be true. May or may not have happened to me, a friend, nobody at all. Who knows? So let's jump in. Let's light up this joint. Oh, check it out. Got a pre-roll from Saucy. Pre-rolls are everywhere now, so it's, I'm gonna start. I got another one from The Plug. There we go, The Plug. I just killed one from 777. I don't know where that container went. That was fire. This one I got right here is a little different. This one's coated with keef. It is rosé, and then it's got some oil and keef on it. 43% total cannabinoids. THC is 494.52 milligrams per unit. No idea what that means. I'm assuming this whole thing's a unit. CBD, ND, MG, I don't understand that either. It's got some manufacturing information. It was manufactured on 10/7, packaged on 10/9. Today is 11/11, so it's about a month old. It's all right. Ingredients: premium cannabis flower, full spectrum oil, keef. And then it's got directions. Good thing they got directions. I wouldn't have been able to figure this out. Remove from tube, light pre-roll, enjoy. I have removed it from the tube. I'm going to light my pre-roll. You guys should do the same. This story, it's got a lot of little tangents I'm going to kind of break off on, but I'll try and keep my focus on the main plot, if you will. but there are some interesting little side notes that I definitely want to include. So this is going to be kind of a long video, so hit pause right now, roll up a joint, pack a bowl, load your bong, grab a dab, crack a beer, do whatever the fuck it is that you want to do while you're listening to this story, and let's get started. So, well, let me light this. It's a very heavy joint, and it's not packed all the way down to the bottom. Oh shit, sorry. I hate it. I get very distracted. I get distracted very easily. And right now, a text message came up, and I started reading it while I was filming, and it looks like there's going to be a few more that are going to follow it. So I apologize if I get a little bit distracted, but I'm not going to hit stop and film this later because I want to film this right now. As I was saying, it's a little wobbly. You can see it's kind of in this area right here. The weed's not packed all the way down, so it's got a little wiggle room. So I got to be careful with that because what's going to end up happening, especially while the cherry's real big, is it's going to want to like wiggle a little bit and fall out. Get my ashtray ready. All right, so let's jump in a time machine, head back to 1991. I am 18 years old. Shit's kind of buck wild in my life. Homeless at the time, living in my truck. I had a Chevy S10 pickup truck with a bed liner, or not a bed liner, a bed cover over the back of my bed that I could like unsnap just the corner of it. I would lift up the corner, I would climb under it, reach up, re-snap it, and just pass out. I would park my truck in the parking lot of like different stores, like 24-hour stores or parks or in nicer neighborhoods. I just pass out, wake up the next morning. I didn't have a job, but I was moving a lot of weed. Well, a lot at the time. I always would grab a pound. I was getting pounds from this dude, Crazy Earn. Some of you guys might remember my stories about Crazy Earn over in La Habra. Well, let me turn on the fan in here. I was getting pounds for like $650 to $800, and it would take, you know, I would break them up, sell them all in eighths, no grams, no ounces, no nothing like that, just eighths, and I would move a pound in a day or two, sometimes 3 days, and yeah, I was just doing that out of my truck, and fucking, my friends, I had some cool friends that would let me shower at their house or stay the night at their house occasionally when their parents wouldn't trip. I wasn't able to stay like multiple nights in a row because then it would look odd, but every once in a while I would just crash at my friend's house. But for the most part, I was, you know, down for anything, anytime. I was buck wild at the time. It was 1991. It was crazy in Orange County. This is like a couple years after the movie Colors had come out. So Southern California as a whole, gangbanging was real popular. More so in LA, like real gangbanging with guns and shit, but the overflow like into La Habra, then into Orange County, you know, it was crazy. There was a lot of fighting going on, and the group that I hung out with, the little clique of guys that I hung out with, we fought a lot. We would get in a lot of fights, but nothing, you know, stupid. Well, actually, shit, see, the fucking cherry just fell out of this, and it's trying to start a little mine fire in my ashtray right here. I think I put that out. So, anyway, shit's crazy in Orange County, and I'm hanging out at a buddy's house. There was like 15 or 20 of us, this crew, gang, clique, group, whatever you want to call it. You know, we were just a bunch of dudes who hung out. We liked to all smoke weed. Some of us, some of them, some of the group, some of us, I'll say us, not me, but some of us, you know, really enjoyed doing a lot of speed. And we just, you know, we were having a good time. We were kids, just out of high school. And my buddy, so I'll tell you, let me explain this group. If there was, sorry, my neighbor's walking his dog out there. Neighbor down the street just got a German Shepherd like 6 months ago. I see him like every week or every 2 weeks. I get to see this dog like in spurts getting bigger and bigger. So I didn't mean to get distracted. So there was a group of like 15 or 20 of us that hung out, but there was a real solid group of 6 or 8 of us, probably about 8 of us, that were always together. We were always in trouble. We were always raising hell. If the entire group of 20 was like a company, this tighter group of 8 of us or 10 of us we were like the board of directors, and it was me. I was 18, just completely crazy. Had a girlfriend at the time. The girlfriend that I was right. This is like a year or two right before I met my wife, Mrs. Chubbs. This was a while ago, and I hung out mostly with my boy Sean. All of us are the same age. We all went to high school together. Sean's half Mexican, half white. His mom's white. She's a biker. She's like a real biker. She's got a couple different sleds, sick ass rides. And her boyfriend and her live together. They sell heroin. They're all heroined out. They won't let Sean live in the house. He lives in a trailer outside. So they got a house down by the high school, and with a giant yard in front, big fenced off yard, tall picket fence. And in that yard is like a gypsy trailer. And Sean lived in the trailer. They ran an extension cord out to the trailer so he had power. Sometimes they would let him shower, sometimes they wouldn't. But they would never let him in the house. It was just them selling heroin. His little sister lived in there. Felt sorry for her, man. Jesus Christ. So it was me and Sean. We were kind of like partners in crime. And then there was Nate and Jason, brothers. They were like fucking less than a year apart. They weren't twins. They were like Irish twins. And they were notorious. Their parents, they weren't bikers. They were wannabe bikers. They were tweakers. And they sold a lot of speed. They were always getting in trouble. And they had a house that we all used to hang out at. It was like on this main street. It was all businesses. And then there was this house. And then it was more businesses. And there was the main house in front where the parents lived. Sold a bunch of meth out of that house. And then in the back, there was a back house that had a doorway that you would walk in. That as soon as you walk in, there's a wall right in front of you. You go one room. So basically it's 2 bedrooms, the hallway in between, and a door that goes out. And Nate had one room, and Jason had the other room. And in Nate's room, he was all hooked on speed, selling speed. And in Jason's room, he was a fucking stoner, and we were all selling weed. And we literally, like on the wall, we drew on the wall, like it said weed with a big arrow pointing this way and speed with a big arrow pointing this way in Sharpie. So it was crazy. This was 4 of us, me, Nate, Sean, Jason, or me, Sean, and then Nate and Jason, the brothers. And then, God, who else? There's Frank, Samoan homie, big giant Samoan. Red, John, we called him John, his name was Red, or we called him Red, his name was John. Big white boy, big ginger. Spent a lot of time in juvenile hall, skinny in high school, and then just swelled up in juvenile hall and got out just thick. Jesse was a little Mexican dude. Jesse, buff, tatted up. He was like 2 years older than us. He was the only one that was older than us. He was from Anaheim, short, loved to throw. Just quick, really, really good with his hands. And Toby, my friend Toby, we called Shadow. He kind of looked like me. He had long hair, tall white dude, always dressed in black, wore nothing but black. And that's why we called him Shadow. And for the most part, there might have been 1 or 2 people that I'm forgetting about thanks to the awesomeness of this pre-roll. That was kind of our main clique. But this house was, Nate and Jay's house was notorious, not just in the city we lived in, but in the entire county, in all of Orange County. Again, this is, very early 90s, 1991, way before the internet. So everything that you knew about from either experience or word of mouth. And what would happen is, Nate's parents, you didn't have to go through the main house to get to the back house. There was a side gate right next to this house, because it was all businesses, then a house, and then more businesses. There was a giant parking lot right next to the house for all of the businesses that were right next door. So there were times where we might have 15, 20 cars from people coming to party at this house parked in this lot. So people would park in the lot, they would walk around the fence that separated the residential lot from the rest of the commercial lot right there. And then they would walk up the side. There was like a little side trail. And then you could come into the back house and not even have to deal with Nate's parents. They didn't care what was going on as long as he didn't fuck up what they had going on. And so it was not unusual. And as this house gained more and more notoriety throughout, Brea, Fullerton, and Anaheim, and La Habra, Diamond Bar, Orange, all these kind of grew the popularity of this party house. People would just show up. They'd show up in 2s, 3s, 5s, sometimes 10 people would come all at one time, just come funneling through this one door. They would read the wall and they would go whichever way they want. It was crazy, like, and I was always in the stoner room. I wasn't fucking with meth, zero, not one ever done. I did that shit for like a year when I was like 14, and I learned that was not for me. That shit's whack. But it was popular with a lot of people, a lot of women, and sorry, I got some weird dude outside right now that I've never seen before. Looks like a cop. Actually looks like a retired cop. I would never go in the other room unless everybody in the weed room was all fucking passed out and there was no one to, you know, play video games with. I was a hardcore gamer. And to the point where the game RBI, there was a rule in the house. If we were playing baseball, the game RBI, if you're playing against me and I'm pitching, I was not allowed to use any junk. I couldn't put any heat on the ball. I couldn't speed it up or slow it down or make it go left or right because I was striking people out so much. And I'm talking about the original Nintendo RBI baseball with, I mean, there wasn't a whole bunch of options when it came to pitching. I mean, you barely could move the ball at all, but I would get in people's heads so well and strike them out like once, at least 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3, sometimes 3 out of 3 batters. They'd get so fucking frustrated that my friends wouldn't play against me unless I just hit when I was pitching, I had to hit the button and set the controller down until they'd swing and then I could pick the controller back up. They were so convinced that even if I just tapped, if I held the controller in my hand and tapped it, that I had some juju that I knew that could still do something that would cause them to not be able to hit the ball. So in the weed room, if everybody was passed out or unwilling to play me, every so often I'd venture over to Nate's room and see what's going on in there. But for the most part, I stayed out of there. But you would see tons and tons of people filtering in and out of both rooms, new people coming and going all the time. And this motherfucker outside right now, he's got me, he's doing some weird shit. Hold on, I'm gonna pause this, I'll be right back. Okay, so the video I'm trying to make right now is gonna be long enough without me going into the shit that just went on outside. I'll get back to this on another day. So back to the video. Let me relight my joint. I had to go outside right now and it's fucking weird. So anyways, I hope you guys have gotten a little context. What I've talked about so far, hopefully gives you a little bit of context. Shit's wild, my crew's wild, the house I'm hanging out at's wild, and a lot of people randomly show up. So one night we're kicking it, hanging out at the house, and this kid shows up. He's our age. He comes in with a girl and like 4 other people. I can't remember if this is the first time he's ever shown up at the house before, if he's been there, if the first time he's ever been there, or if he's been there before. But I don't know this kid that well. And I can tell that really no one in the room knows him that well. And it's not unusual for people to come over and bring a bunch. It's, you know, when people know that there's speed being sold at a house, they bring shit to the house to trade. And being a stoner, sometimes that shit's cool. You know, and before it would make it into Nate's room for trade, I would pull out cash and just buy it. So dude comes over, and so sometimes people brought cool shit, sometimes they brought just whack meth shit. So dude rolls up, and he's got a backpack. This is before people, you know, used to wear backpacks on the rig. He kicks back, and people are talking to him. It's a kind of a crowded room. He reaches into his backpack and he pulls out a canister. I don't have anything here that's of, you know, it's like about this size, maybe a little bit bigger than this. But it looks super industrial. It looks very professional, almost like military. Like this big, like a jar. You can tell it's got a screw top on it. And this motherfucker, and again, this may or may not be true. This motherfucker opens up this jar, and at the top of when you look at the jar, there's like 6 or 7 holes about that big. All of them are empty except for 2. There's 2 little, what look like lime green, like ecto green, Slimer green bubbles. And the rest of the holes are empty. What the fuck is that? He grabs one of the bubbles and pulls out, it's about the size of a tampon or a hot dog. And it's full, it's clear plastic, and it's full of lime green liquid. And inside the lime green, in the very center, there's a strip. It's about the size of a toothpick, and it looks like a bunch of little gray charcoal pieces of little grains of rock or something. So it's again, it's like that big with a little gray in the middle. Looks like a gel-filled tampon, clear tampon, gel-filled with green in the middle, with gray in the middle. It's got 2 of them in this real high-tech container. Turns out, he tells us that they're bombs. He says the green gel is an explosive nitroglycerin, and the gray stuff in the middle is the detonator. And these hot dog tampon-looking bombs are made to be put in this device. He doesn't have the device, but he says he described it. He said it's a little remote-controlled device. You drop these things down in it, and when you hit the button, a little hammer would come over and snap against the tampon and cut it in half. And it would break that little charcoal in the middle, and when the charcoal hits the green liquid, boom, it would explode. And he said that he got it from someone who grabbed it from the naval base here in Seal Beach. And since my girlfriend at the time, her mom was the highest ranking non-military officer, highest ranking civilian that worked on that base, all of my friends decided I was the one that should inspect these bombs and vet them and decide if they were real. So I look over, I'm fucking stressed. I don't want to get my fingerprints on none of this shit. So I'm like just kind of looking at it. And as far as I could tell, they're fucking real. And he said that he used to have the whole thing, he used to have all of them full, but he was selling them one at a time for $1,000 each. And keep in mind, this is 1991. I'm buying pounds at like $650 to $800 a pound for good green. So at $1,000 each, that's a lot of money. My buddy Sean and I heard that, and we immediately, ears perked up, opportunity. Without even talking to each other, we immediately thought the same thing. We're going to take these bombs from this kid, and we're going to go sell them to someone else. We're going to take the money. We're going to go buy some weed. Boom. And I don't remember if we threatened the dude or if we made a deal to give him some weed later on or if we just punked him or what happened. But we left with the bombs. And keep in mind, this is way before the internet. You couldn't verify, you couldn't jump online. There was no computer to jump on and verify this. We were just taking this kid at his word, and based on the fact that we had never seen anything like this before, that he was telling us the truth. So we snatch him from this kid. Sean and I go back to his house that night. His house. It was actually the trailer that his parents let him live in. And we stashed the container with the 2 bombs inside in his closet under some clothes. And we drive back to Nate and Jay's house. Like a 10-minute drive, and we're back there partying. So dude showed up early in the afternoon. We come back. I can't remember if he's there or not, but we party all night. I go to leave that night. I don't remember where I'm going, but I go to leave that night, and I get pulled over right in front of the house. I do an illegal U-turn, pulling out away from the house. Cops pull me over, whoop, whoop. And I have warrants out for a couple fights that I got in. I had some bench warrants for failure to appear on some traffic tickets that I got. And then they had found in my car right then when they pulled me over, they found a bunch of weed. I had maybe a quarter pound or something like that. So I'm going to jail. I know I'm going to jail for a while. And at the time, I didn't even care. They arrest me, they take me to jail. I get one phone call. I call Nate's house where I just left. They're still partying at the house. I tell them, hey, cops are outside, because I saw more than one cop out there. I said, just so you know, cops are out there. I just got arrested. Jay, who lives in the house, he's the stoner, he's in the weed room. He starts pleading with the cops. Come on, cops, be nice to him. He's a good guy. Let him go. The cops are laughing, having a good laugh. They didn't let me go. They fingerprint me. I end up going to jail. So they take me from, I was in the regular local jail for a day, and then they take me to Santa Ana, to the main jail. And in Santa Ana, I get grouped in with a bunch of other dudes who have been arrested all over Orange County. They spent time in their respective individual city jails, and then they had all been moved into county. And you end up buddying up with some people. If you don't know anybody, you get to know people. And there wasn't, in 91 in Orange County, Maine, there wasn't a lot of racial politics. So everybody just kind of hung out with everybody. And in the little group that I got arrested with, or that came together, it was me, this guy Paulie, who was like 10 years older. He was an Italian cat with this crazy, fucking Peter Frampton fro, like a Jew fro. And I don't remember the Indian dude's name. He was Native American, cool as fuck. He was a car painter. His dad, they had a chop shop in Fountain Valley. And then there was this Italian kid, Gamboa. He got busted. He was from LA, but he got busted down. He was kicking it in Newport with some chicks, and cops caught him with a gun. So all of us, we're kind of going through court and the motions together as a group before we get to our initial or to our eventual home, which is the James A. Music Facility, the farm, as they call it here in Orange County. And if you don't know someone when you get locked up, if you don't bump into a friend, you end up forming bonds and friendships with people. The longer you're around someone, the closer you get. So the people that I met right when I got to the Main, and we ended up going through all of these different parts of the arrest process and procedure together, we were together a lot longer than, let's say, when I eventually ended up at the farm. My bunkie, who was right above me, we didn't come together. He just, he was already there when I got there. So we just met when I got there. So you form, at least at this time, the way it worked is you kind of clicked up and kicked back with your bunkie and people in your house, in your neighborhood. I was in a dorm. Eventually ended up in a dorm with like 100 dudes. There's a lot to this story, so if you guys want to hit pause and roll another one up, go for it. It gets really fucking good. So the four of us end up at the farm. All four of us have long hair. That's probably another reason why we hung out. And at the farm, on the north compound, there was dorms. There was 3 dorms for workers, people who got to go either leave the jail and go work somewhere else, or they had jobs on the property. And then there was the 4th dorm for people that didn't work. And there was a million reasons why people didn't work, but all 4 of us were willing to work, but they wouldn't let us work because we had long hair. They said, cut your hair and you can work. We're like, nope, not cutting our hair at the time. All of us had different reasons, but it was, we were stoners. Stoners had long hair, we were partiers, we were fucking metal, whatever. So they put us in what was called the pumpkin patch. It was called the pumpkin patch because all the workers got to wear denim, but the non-workers like us, they had the denim 2-piece. They had pants and then a shirt. We had a jumpsuit. We had an orange jumpsuit. It was also called Thunderdome because anytime there was a fight, it went down in my tent. But it wasn't that bad. So there's all kinds of shit that goes on in jail. Normal craziness. It was a low-level facility. I was only there for a couple months, like 2.5, 3 months. It wasn't like, there wasn't a bunch of politics. It wasn't like fucking Wes Watson and GP, none of that shit. This was kind of chill. And this guy Paulie and I, because we came through the ranks, through the system together, we talked a lot. And I'm 18 years old at the time. He's late 20s, maybe even early 30s. I don't know how old this guy was for sure. And in talking, we just, talked about bullshit, talked about shit that was going on, and I was telling him this story about, how right before I got arrested, me and my boy had come up on these bombs. I was, I was definitely saying more than I should have said. But I was trying to talk a big game. In jail, people talk themselves up. I didn't have much else going on. I was homeless. I got busted. My weed got all taken from me when I got busted. So the only thing I really had waiting for me when I got out was a hot chick and a fucking nitroglycerin bomb. So, I had to really talk shit up. And I'm, telling Paulie all this shit. I'm kind of telling everybody this shit. And they're telling me their shit. And it's cool. We hang out every day, all day, every day for months. And Paulie one day, he's kind of calling, trying to call me out, like acting like I'm talking shit. You don't really have a bomb. So I, in an attempt to really, yes, I fucking do. Instead of just ignoring him like I should have, I give a couple more details about what it looks like, where we have it stashed. And that's it. The conversation ends. And there's other people around. No one comes and suspects anything crazy is going to happen or anything like that. So fast forward a couple weeks, Paulie gets out. And when they release you from excuse me, when they release you from the facility that we were in, they do it at like 1 in the morning when everyone's passed out. Next thing you know, you wake up the next day and there's empty bunks. You're like, oh fuck, all right. Sometimes the dude will come by real quick, goodbye, I'm out, whatever. Drop off a phone number, or if you guys haven't exchanged phone numbers already, and he's out. So we all wake up one morning and Paulie's gone. And he hasn't said good night, or not good night. He hasn't said goodbye to anybody. Nobody knew he was gonna get released, and everyone thought that was kind of weird. Whatever. And the day he got released, maybe not the day, maybe a couple days after, I used the payphone and I called my boys, Nate and Jay, over at the party house, and they're fucking flipping out on me. Apparently, Paulie had got out of jail, got all tweaked out on meth, like spun out, put on a suit. Didn't even cut his hair. Still kept the fucking long-ass Frampton Jufro. And he went to fucking Sean's parents' house. Sean wasn't there. He went up to the door at like midnight, knocked on the door, told his parents, who were all fucking paranoid hypes, fucking heroin fucking dealers, that he was DEA and that I worked for him and that I had told him about a bomb and some cash, and he was there to confiscate both. And he said he said he needed to search the trailer. And while I was in jail, they had gotten another trailer, so there was 2 trailers there. I didn't, you know, when I'm telling my fucking jailhouse stories, I'm only mentioning 1 trailer. So he asks them what trailer it's in, and in their fucking heroin panic, they tell him the trailer, they shut the door, and they hope that the fucking DEA doesn't come back. And sure enough, this fucking tweaker goes into the trailer, fucking searches through the closet, finds the container that has the bombs in them, and he took them. So, and I don't remember I don't know if he said anything else to Sean's parents after he left, but they had some words. They had discussed, and my name had come up, so that's how they knew he was there, because of me, really. And so when I call my boys, they're fucking flipping out. They're like, you fucking rat, you're a fucking DEA, you're this, you're that. I'm like, guys, you realize I'm the same. We went to high school together, all right? You get, we've gone on vacations. I've taken these dudes to my river house. Like, my dad had a river house before I got kicked out and shit. So they know what they're saying is not true, but they're fucking pissed, and I get it. Only Jason was the only one who, when I got out, he was the first one to be like, look, we know that you're not a fucking DEA agent. And you know, he had been to jail. He's one of my only friends that had been to jail at that time, so he kind of knew how it was inside. I was one of the first or second or third. Everybody, eventually I'll tell you later, but everybody ended up doing time. But I was one of the first who got locked up for, you know, longer than a weekend for, you know, being drunk or something stupid. So he understood. He's like, you know, I know how it is in jail. You probably talked yourself up a little bit, but you said too much. That was stupid. Don't do it again. Long story short, they all yelled at me, and it sucked, man. I felt guilty. I felt like a jackass for trusting this old man. But it was just me trying to talk myself up in jail and just be cooler. So time passes, you know, week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. We're all cool. We're back to being homies. We're all partying at the house again. And we're kicking it. And in the house, the way the room was set up, there was seats all the way around. There was a bed in the corner, like a little nook where Jason's bed was in the weed room. And then there were seats all the way around. And there was on the opposite side from the door, there was a loft. I think it's what you call it, or whatever. It was like a bunk bed, but it was only there was only one. There wasn't one below. And in front of that bunk bed, there were seats. So we had movie theater seating all the way around, like literally out of a movie theater. We're hanging out one night, and the room's packed. People are there, chicks are there, music's up. I remember Pantera was on. It's raging, and I'm sitting up on the loft. And my girlfriend's behind me. She's got her legs wrapped around me, and she's like holding on to me. But I could see the front door, or the door to the back house that we're in, from where I'm sitting. And I see it open, and sure enough, it's the little short dude who comes in, who we got the bombs from. And I didn't have any beef with him. There was no issue or anything like that. But I knew right when he walked in, based on what happened last time he was there, that he just didn't. He didn't come just to say hello. This kid was a mean tweaker, like tweaked the fuck out. And he was dialed in. He knew people. So I was pretty sure that the night just got a lot more interesting. And sure enough, he comes walking in and sits down, and he's got a homie with him who walked in right behind him. There was the 2 of them. He walks over, and he sits across the room from me in one of the theater seats against the wall. There's 3 of them. So there's, in one of the seats, it's my boy Red, and Red's, you know, yoked from fucking juvenile hall. In the middle is the second kid who walked in, and then in the third seat over is, I forget, Jeremiah or some shit like that. His name started with a J. And I noticed that the dude in the middle, the second guy who followed him in, his legs from the waist down are just blood, just covered in blood. I'm like, what the fuck? But I don't want to say anything. The music's so loud that I have to, if I want to say anything, I have to get up, walk over, say something. And maybe my eyes are just playing tricks on me, and I'm not seeing what I'm seeing. But sure enough, within like 5 minutes of dude being there, I see the short kid who we got the fucking bombs from pull a fucking knife out of his pocket, unfold it. So, you know, it's a real knife. And he fucking just, real quick, twice, stabs dude in the legs, folds it back up, and the guy kind of takes it and doesn't like fight back or anything. So that's obviously why his fucking, his pants are all bloody and shit. And I'm looking across the room, Pantera's blaring, everybody's partying. Some people saw it, some people didn't. And Red, who's sitting on the fucking 3-seat right there with them, he he definitely saw what happened. But Red was more of a soldier than a general. He wasn't one to fucking react real quick. He kind of looked back and was like, "What the fuck?" And he looks over at me, and I give him the look like, "Yeah, fuck yeah." And so he fucking just one time just smacks the guy in the mouth. He had to reach over the guy in the middle who got stabbed, and he punched the kid in the mouth. Red is big guy. He had, you know, probably 200 pounds at least, and this other guy was like 120, tweaking 120, so he was frail, and he got all fucking like folded up. So he was like all messed up, but he had his backpack there, and he's reaching into his backpack. I don't know, is he pulling out another bomb? Is he gonna blow us up? Is he gonna fucking pull out a gun? Whatever. So I come jumping. I jump off the loft, the bump, the top thing that I'm on, run across the room, grab one of the two fucking. So let me rewind a bit. So we had, back in the day, there was no head shops, or there was only a couple head shops. Hold on, this motherfucker's outside again. Hold on. All right, sorry about that again. I'll tell you about it in another video. So, no head shops. If you had to drive for a minute, there wasn't a head shop in every city, and sometimes if you didn't have a ride, if you didn't have money, it was easier to make a bong than it was to buy a bong. So we had taken 3 6-foot sections of black PVC pipe. It was about this big around. It was really thick walls, and we had converted each one of these 3 pieces of PVC into a 6-foot bong. So we had 3 6-footers, and each of the 6-footers had a very heavy metal stem and pretty much a bowl that's like as big as these fucking jars, wax jars, a brass bowl with a screen in it. So had some weight to it. And my friend Sean, you know, that had the trailer, there was another guy, Sean, this older guy, Sean, big fat guy, who worked at the movie theater. He had come over, I don't know what group he came over with, but he'd got a little lippy. He was older and big, so he stood up and he was there was gonna be a fight in the room, Sean against Sean. And my boy Sean jumped up and grabbed one of the 3 6-footers and hit him in the head with it. And when he hit him in the head, the fucking stem hit him and the bowl hit him and it split open his head. The bong busted open, bong water went flying everywhere. It was quite dramatic, and because of like the noise and the blood and the bong water and everything, it just shut down everything. It worked very, very well. So when dude reached into his bag, I go flying across the room. I grab one of the other 2 bongs that are left. Boom! Hit the dude in the head with the bong, and same exact effect. The bong shatters, dude goes down, music gets turned off, people are freaking out, but it's the guy's like kind of like folded up, like slumped in the corner. And I was just not gonna let him. I don't know what the fuck was going on with these 2 guys, but he was not just gonna sit there and stab dude in the middle of the fucking room. So, and I haven't been there every time this guy had come over, but I had heard that every time he came over there was issues. He was always doing dumb shit. He was doing things that could cause the cops to be there pretty much every fucking time he came over. So this was kind of the last straw, and we decided he's done. So we grab him, he's kind of like half passed out, grab his bag, carry him out, down the side of the house. Don't want Nate and Jay's parents, even though they're tweakers and they don't give a shit what we do, if they see some shit like this, they're gonna fucking flip out. So we had to kind of be careful and kind of go down the side of the house, get around, put the dude in his car. Before I put his backpack in his car, I opened it up, reach in, and he had a fucking flare gun. I don't know if he was gonna pull that shit out and fucking try and light me on fire and shit. So we put him in the car, tell him to get the fuck out. He kind of came to as we're carrying him. He came to, put him in the car, you're done. And we go back in the house, and we tell, homeboy who's sitting there still, all bloodied up, everything's cool, don't worry, that guy's gone, you're safe, he's, you know, you don't have to worry about him coming back, I promise, trust, we're good. And this is how tweaked out the both of these guys were. He's like, dude, I live with that guy, all my shit's at his house, that's my friend, I gotta go. And he fucking gets up, all stabbed up and shit, runs out of the house, gets in the car with dude, and they fucking take off. And that was the last time that anybody ever heard from either of them. Fucking insane, crazy night. Crazy, crazy night. So then, like, fucking fast forward another, 2 years? 3 years, maybe? And we're hanging out at this park. There's a park on the other side of the city where there was a dead end, kind of a circle in the park where there was people could park their cars. And at night there would be like 50 cars that would show up, and we'd go hang out, sell weed and shit. It's called Tri-City Park. It's in Placentia, if you guys know the area. Back in the day, it was a cool spot to kick it. And we're all hanging out. It was pretty much, you know, the board of directors, all of us kicking it. And on the other side of the park, who the fuck do I see? But it's that old motherfucker Paulie, who broke in and said he was the motherfucker, like I was in jail with, who you know, came and took the bombs, told my friend's parents that he was DEA. I see that guy on the other side of the fucking park. So I kind of creep over, halfway over, get, you know, visual confirmation that it's definitely him. So I kind of then work my way back into the group. Is this motherfucker out here again? Work my way back into the crowd, tell my friends, look, this is the dude. And they immediately know who I'm talking about. So we all kind of rush around and separately try and creep on him so he doesn't see us. But him being the fucking uber alert tweaker that he is, I don't know if he saw me or saw someone else, but he just turned around and just started booking, and immediately we all start chasing him. And he kind of ran in, the lake was kind of like a kidney bean shape, like a U shape, so he ran into this dead end where it was just water. And he could have jumped in the water and swam across the lake, but I don't know if he couldn't swim or what, but he just turned around and we kind of just ran up on him, and he immediately just started running his mouth, talking about all kinds of weird, crazy tweaker shit. And Red, my boy John, I don't know if he was going to do anything, because he was he was usually like the second or third or fourth person to react. And at this point, nothing had happened yet, so he's kind of got a little bit too close. And while this crazy tweaker Paulie was just running his mouth, he throws a kick and catches Red right in the chin and just slumps him, just drops him right there. And we immediately jump on him, and there was a scuffle, and we beat him up, and that ends that. And we never let Red live it down that he got dropped by Paulie the tweaker. So we end up back at the house, kind of reminiscing over you know, the prime opportunity. What are the chances that we're going to bump into this guy again? This is, you know, way before the internet, so you couldn't look people up. The chances that we just bumped into him were it was so fortuitous, and it worked out so well. But yeah, that was a crazy night. I mean, you know, that group of dudes that I was hanging out with, Sean ended up having some fucked up shit happen. I'll tell you about that in a second. Nate got in a fight at a bar. His girlfriend got hit on. He got in an argument with the guy that hit on his girlfriend. They went out in the parking lot and got in a fight. Nate beat him up. Two of the guy's friends jumped in. Nate beat both of them up. And then while being all fucking super excited after getting jumped and defending himself against three big-ass dudes, he dropped a couple of racial slurs. And people that were there testified to that later on in court. So he ended up going to prison for a fucking hate crime, doing a bunch of time. His brother Jay, who is my boy, who kind of lived in the weed room, he later on, once they moved out, he got hooked on speed, ended up in prison. My friend Jesse, a little short Mexican, shot some dude in the chest for some cigarettes, killed him. He's doing life. Toby got killed in a car accident. My boy Sean, who I said I'll tell you in a second, Sean and Toby were cruising around one night, got in a car accident. Toby died. And Frank moved up north and got a job in IT. It's kind of square. And yeah, I started selling weed, or kept selling weed, you know, and doing my thing. So it was fucking nuts. Yeah. So yeah, there's that story in a nutshell. If you guys have any questions, any comments, any complaints about the saucy fucking pre-roll, that got me damn baked. I'm not gonna lie. For a joint, I'm higher than I'm definitely higher than I expected to be. This video is kind of long, so I hope you guys like it. If you got any questions, comments, or complaints, use the comment section below. I'm Chubbs, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for sticking around for this long-ass video. Peace.